Hey everybody, it's the Nitty Professor, and today I thought I would check in with you all and talk about my eclectic list of favorite knitting podcasts. Now, you all know that I travel to Europe. I'm a German professor, so as you can imagine, traveling to Europe is sort of part and parcel of who I am. It's been going on for a good while. So my list might be a little surprising in that normally you might expect just English-speaking knitting podcasts, but yes, I have some favorite English-speaking knitting podcasts, but that's not it. So I find that having learned other languages, I don't want to hear English all the time. On the contrary, I think there's something to be said for the argument that using other languages is good for your brain. And it's stimulating. So yeah, let's just jump right in here. Paris may have to give us a little bit of room. She's a very eager participant, and I have made some screenshots. So here, we'll just go in order. The first one that I want to mention is Brit Strikkenerd. She's the Norwegian knitter. Well, she's one of many Norwegian knitters, and there are many reasons why I enjoy her podcast. I spent a lot of time, so when I was working on the Norwegian characters in my novel, I decided I have to really acquaint myself with the language and culture to the extent possible in order to, portray the characters realistically. So one of the things I did was try to acquaint myself with Norwegian knitting podcasters, and my knowledge of Norwegian is so limited that when I was looking around, I had to figure out how to differentiate the Norwegian from Swedish, Danish, etc. It was kind of a challenge, and I still struggle with it a little bit. Norwegian is an interesting language because it has multiple dialects. Paris, come on. Even, among the Norwegian podcasters, there are a lot of differences in the way that they sound, in the way that they come across. Someone from Oslo is going to come across differently from someone from Trondheim, for example. So Brit Strikkenerd is, hey, Paris, yeah, from the, I'm going to call it the state that Trondheim is in, which is Trøndelag. And one of the reasons that I like her, in addition to her language, is that she just seems super sweet. And I really wish that I could spend an evening just chatting with her. She does, on occasion, podcast in English, which is a delight, and it's very, shall we say, generous of her to use her English skills. She's not like an expert or anything, but she does a very good job. And I enjoy her knitting projects, too, because the Norwegian knitting style incorporates a lot of the lace pattern, a lot of color work. And I do enjoy the sort of the looking back to Norwegian tradition, because I like the element of history in knitting. In fact, one of the things I like about the sweater that I have on, this Tucson pullover by Jesse Ostermeyer, is that it incorporates Native American elements. So it has deliberately cultural references to history. And of course, in Brit's knitting, she's referencing her culture and background all the time. She'll sing songs from her childhood, from church. She does a December vlog that incorporates a lot of the Advent traditions and this kind of thing. And it just feels really homey, and her land around her home that's on the probably on a fjord, and it's just beautiful. So I really like being invited into her living room, even when she's speaking in Norwegian and I can't understand it. So let's go on. And these are in no particular order. And, I've obviously left podcasts out. I'm only covering 5. I might do this video again if it meets with the kind of reception that I'm hoping. And, 2 or 3 months, talk about more. So here, the next one, again, in no particular order. This is Stitches and Starlight. And this is Tashi. She is from Brooklyn. She is a nurse. She is non-binary. And not only, as you can probably tell from the picture, not only does she knit, but she is a very avid spinner, has a delightful personality. She lives in Brooklyn, and again, she's the kind of person, I just wish that I could meet her and her cat, Minerva. Her husband, I think his name is Josh, maybe. She seems very intelligent. You know, obviously she's a scientist if she's a nurse. And the way she talks about spinning is you almost feel like she's a savant, because the mathematical formula that she has attached to, you know, for example, the degree of twist or the degree of thickness, the way she plies it, the rotations per minute of the wheel, and all this kind of stuff. It just fascinates me. And I think if she and I were to spend some time together, I don't know, I might bore her a little bit with some of my German lore, but I would ask her all kinds of questions about spinning and knitting, and I think I would get answers that would delight me. I also like New York. My son, his girlfriend is from Long Island, or as they like to say, Long Island, and he spent almost a year there. It's quite something for a kid from South Dakota to live in Long Island for a year. He did really great. He loves it, and I'm very comfortable there. So who knows? Maybe one of these times I might try to figure out where Tashi lives and knock on her door. Last summer, I participated with a couple of 100 other people in the Tour de Fleece that she and a guy from Instagram, Pearls, and I'm trying to remember his handle. In any case, they organized it, and they used Discord as a way for like a social media connection between the people, and I made a lot of friends on Instagram through that, so it was great fun, and I'm fairly confident that they're going to do that again. So really excited on the rare occasion, and it is kind of rare when Tashi does another YouTube podcast. I think she must be very busy working. I think she has a managerial, that's the way it seemed like she was explaining it, position at the hospital where she works. So she keeps pretty busy. So next up, we have Tricolibri. So this is one of my favorite podcasts, and one of the reasons is because I love French, and I spent a lot of time learning French. I have a bachelor's degree and several master's degree courses in French. Spent an academic year in Paris, and the fact that I can use the language makes me happy, and the opportunity to use the language in the context of comprehending knitting podcasts makes me extra happy. Tricolibri, she's a beautiful woman. She's very French. She comes across as just, you know, like the epitome of a proper French woman. Her knitting style differs from mine, and I'm not necessarily there to, you know, learn about the projects that she has going on. They're very elegant and simple and refined, whereas I like, so you can tell, bright colors. I like sort of in-your-face, you know, knitting where people look at that and they're like, wow, you know, that's really cool that you made that. Whereas the kinds of garments that she wears, you might find in they might be in an Neiman Marcus store, maybe handmade, but not necessarily by, you know, someone who was doing it for a hobby. So in any case, I do like her taste. I would not necessarily knit the projects that she knits, but that doesn't matter. She's an awesome knitter, a beautiful person. She also will podcast. She had a series of podcasts on Norway when she was hiking there, and it was kind of scary because she injured her back, and she was doing a couple podcasts there for a while with a back brace on, and I was just so in awe of her that she would just carry on, you know. But I love her personality, and I love hearing her beautiful French. And she, again, if I could spend an evening with her drinking some Chardonnay or something, it would just make me very, very happy. And I'm sure we would get along. And one of these days, who knows, maybe it'll happen. So yeah, Tricolibri, highly recommend it if you speak French. And going on, hello Paris. Paris is here for a return. You want to help? Huh? You want to help? You want to attack my yarn? Okay, you can attack my yarn. So the next one I have up is Ciasbod. Ciasbod. It took me a while to figure out how she pronounces it, but I've listened to it multiple times, and I swear that's how she says it. Ciasbod. She is Swedish, and I started listening to her podcasts in English, so she does at least half of them in English and half in Swedish. And I love her backdrop. One of the things that I enjoy about a good knitting podcast is just seeing the backdrop. Like I can see yarn, I can see floof, I can see fiber, I can see maybe some traditional sort of cultural artifacts, candles, books, all kinds of things like that. And she often has, she features a lot of hand spun. She also knits from her handspun and talks a lot about Swedish traditions and this kind of thing. It's really inspiring. And I cherish the fact that she podcasts not just in, hey, Benny, what are you doing? Benny's trying to get into the pan. He likes what I had for lunch. That she does it in English as well as Swedish. And sometimes she'll have a friend on there, so that makes it more engaging too, to have, to see the back and forth go on. I do enjoy podcasts where there's a couple people, regardless of what language they're speaking. And in fact, if I could find a podcaster using Hungarian, boy, I would be thrilled. I've tried and I've found like a few knitting tutorials in Hungarian, but as far as a genuine podcast that's, kind of like what I do or what these people would do in Hungarian, I haven't found that yet. So if you know of one, let me know. But Ciasbod is one of my favorites. And then going to number 5, and again, this is just, it's not necessarily top 5, but it's ones that if I see that they made a new episode, I'm like, oh, I've got to go to that. I've got to look that one up. There are others, but these are sort of the ones that have been on my mind lately. So this is the Smell Great Guy, Smells Like Yarn podcast. This guy's name is Ross, and he seems extraordinarily sweet. He's been around for quite a long time. In fact, the first video that I found with Ross was of him. I was looking up yarn haul videos. Hi, Paris. And he had this, it was like a box that was 2/3 the size of a refrigerator of yarn that had come in from ice yarns. And I was like, whoa, that's just crazy. And it was cool that it was a guy and stuff, because I'm all about diversity in the knitting world. I don't want to just knit with people who, are like me, 60-some-year-old women. So I thought it was really cool that a younger guy was doing it. And he has this yarn room in his podcast that's just stuffed to the gills. It's not necessarily the yarn that I would pick personally because he's a big fan of acrylic. Sometimes he knits with cotton. He does knit with wool on occasion, but he shops at like Hirschner's. He's a big fan of Hobby Lobby, Michael's, all these places, Joann's. And I think what really draws me to his yarn room is the color. So he's clearly a fan of color in the way that I am a fan of color, and he just comes across as this sweet, very, kind, easy to get along with person. Again, I think I would just really enjoy spending an evening over some tea, just chatting with him and knitting with him. I could see being in a circle. Like if I could be in a circle with these 5 people knitting and spinning, it would just be the coolest thing because I could just see, the kinds of things that our conversations would circle around, and the kinds of sharing that we could do about our projects and what, has us into knitting. And they just seem like really cool people, really diverse, interesting people. And I don't know, maybe I should write a scene about that. It could be like a short story, could be kind of fun. So in any case, I'd be curious what podcasts you really enjoy. We all have our different reasons for seeking out what we do. And for me, a lot of times it's that comforting background. I don't necessarily need a heavy, instructional, knit this really complex type of stuff video. I like someone who surrounds themselves with yarn, with fiber, who thinks about it a lot and just really enjoys it and just comes across as someone you could sit with on your front porch and just shoot the breeze. So yeah, I'd be really curious what your favorite podcasts are, and be interesting to see everyone just kind of share and throw out a few reasons for who you like. Maybe we could find more podcasts that we would enjoy equally much, and just get to know each other better. So on that note, I'll take off here and I'll keep working on my sweater. It's growing slowly. Hope y'all are going to have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk soon. Ciao.